I started my legal career in 1979 at Neighborhood Legal Services Association and worked there as a staff attorney until 1988 when I became their chief attorney of their family law unit. And that's where I specialized in protection from abuse cases and came to know the Women's Center and Shelter. And in 1996, I left Neighborhood Legal Services and went to work for the Women's Center and Shelter of Greater Pittsburgh.
When the Protection from Abuse statute came about, we were still just baby lawyers. I mean, the statute was annotated in '76. Lorraine probably started working about maybe 3 or 4 years after that, but it really took people like Lorraine to help implement it because no one really knew how to implement it and to make people comply. And I think her putting different systems in place was invaluable because I don't know anyone else that took the lead. She took the lead on getting the district attorney's office involved and family division involved and the judges and district justices involved, the trainings and the numerous hours put in having legislators come on board and continuing to implement. Once we moved downtown Pittsburgh, we had volumes of clients that would come to our office. We would handwrite the petitions, copy the petitions. It would literally shut our building down for a half a day before any other work can get done. We would have anywhere between 10, my highest was 20 people a day, and we would only have one attorney a day representing all of these people.
In 1998, when District Attorney Sapala came into office, one of his top priorities was to create a domestic violence unit, and he assigned me to do that. So that's how I met Lorraine for the first time. I didn't know anything about domestic violence at the time, so basically she taught me everything I know when I started out. So we did develop a domestic violence prosecution unit. There wasn't one before. In the creation of that unit, Lorraine played a huge part, helping draft protocols, procedures, how we're going to deal with victims, what kind of cases we're going to take, and so on. Once there was a specialized unit, I think that gave a sort of a basis from which to work with. So I worked closely with Lorraine. We worked on police policies, which we distributed. We worked on prosecution protocols. We trained police officers and judges. When we first started, this would have been in the late 90s, we trained over 1,000 Pittsburgh police officers, every single police officer. Once a week for a period of 4 months, we trained from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then midnight to 3 a.m. And we did that once a week for 4 months.
She created the Civil Law Project, which is, I believe, the only legal aid program in Allegheny County that serves survivors of domestic violence without cost to them in their family law matters. It is such a great need. Number of people that need help with legal cases, complex legal cases that require a deft hand and a straight spine. And Lorraine single-handedly created that and nurtured it and grew it to what it is today. A group of exceptional lawyers, paralegals, and legal assistants serving hundreds and hundreds of survivors every year.
We've had the opportunity to educate and train people on how to do protection from abuse cases. And actually that was probably the biggest thing Lorraine taught me how to do. I can remember the first time he took me to a training, and it was at a large firm, and I sat there and I watched these young lawyers who did civil litigation, and when she would train, the room would be silent because she knew what she was talking about. She knew how important this information was. She knew how it impacted lives, and she commanded their attention. And these young lawyers who thought they came out of law school and knew everything about the entire legal process in the world just sat there and listened to her. And they left there with a whole new perspective on what was really important about the law.
The systems improvements that I'm most proud of include working with Family Court to develop a protection from abuse unit so that there was a space for victims to meet separate from their defendants and get support and be able to go in front of a judge safely. working on the Domestic Violence Task Force to keep it alive and keep it moving as it brought together people from all parts of the justice system for consistent response in Allegheny County to domestic violence, and helping to develop specialty units in different parts of the system, such as with police, with probation officers, with the prosecution.
Lorraine started when just by advocating for us to have a space for the victims to come, feel safe in saying what they need to say, for us to help them, even over in family division. We were in the hallways trying to represent people. She advocated for, can we have a chair? Can we have a table? Can we have advocates come over and help? We need a space for people. We were negotiating with opposing attorneys in the hallway. So you can hear, there was no privacy, so you can hear everybody's conversation. So just the small things added up to a big thing.
She sort of brought structure and organization to the whole thing. And she did that by a lot of hard work. You know, she was willing to do anything. She drafted protocols, she drafted policies, she helped with us in the unit, she helped write grants so we got a prosecutor to prosecute ICCs. That really stands out to me about Lorraine, is she was willing to do the work. She didn't just ask for change or advocate for change. She actually did the work to create the change.
Receiving the Ted and Sherley Craig Humanitarian Award is particularly meaningful to me because it takes me back to the beginning of my career when I worked on protection from abuse cases at the time when Ted Craig was doing pro bono work at K&L Gates. And as my career's evolved and I've watched how the Craig family has used this award to honor Ted and express their thanks to so many meaningful contributors in the fight to end domestic violence, I am extremely honored to be the recipient myself of this award.
Lorraine has made me a better lawyer. She has made me a better administrator, and she has made me a better person. She has made me learn that I am a stronger person than I thought I could ever be, and that she has shared words of wisdom when I had a lot of doubt, especially as a young lawyer. And she would share the difficulties she would encounter as a young lawyer. And to know that somebody who I admire so much, and there's nobody really quite like Lorraine, if somebody like her have gone through what I've gone through and can still continue on with the fight, it is an inspiration for me to continue with what I do.
When I think of all the things that are good about what we do in Allegheny County for domestic violence victims, I think of Lorraine Bittner, because I think she's laid the foundation for all of those things. I can't think of anyone else that has done the work that she has done to get us to where we are today. Lorraine has the highest reputation in this community that anyone can have. And that's because she does this work without asking for recognition or, she's not looking for the trophies or the awards. She wants people to stand up and do good, because that's what really matters. And when you get to work with someone like that who's just looking for people to stand up and do good, you count yourself lucky.
My co-workers at Women's Center and Shelter have made all the difference in my career. In fact, I came to work at Women's Center and Shelter and left Neighborhood Legal Services because of two of the leading legal advocates here, Mary Jo DeBoer and Ann Hazlett. And I stayed because of all the other advocates that work at Women's Center and Shelter, including Joyce McEnany. The advocates at Women's Center and Shelter are dedicated to the mission, immensely dedicated, and fearless in their day-to-day work, which can sometimes be very dangerous and frequently emotionally exhausting. I have been able to work at Women's Center and Shelter for over 25 years because of the support of my family, my husband and my son, my co-workers in the legal office, the legal advocates and the attorneys and paralegals, and the whole agency, including our board of directors, who offer ongoing, invaluable support. All of that has made it possible for me to have a career, make this a career, and it has been extremely meaningful to me, and I am deeply grateful to all of them. I would hope that my legacy would encourage all of us to learn the dynamics of domestic violence so that we can identify it and offer non-judgmental support to victims, and also send a message loud and clear that such violence will not be tolerated in our society.
20 years ago is when I met Lorraine. I did not know her previously. She was just one of the angels I met through the Civil Law Project, which is a division of the Women's Shelter. Lorraine was one of my attorneys. She was there by my side to get me the financial support and divorce I needed to begin my own life. The times were trying, but Lorraine possessed the expertise needed to guide me through the motions. Here it is, 2025, and my angel of God is presented with the prestigious Sherley and Ted Craig Humanitarian Award, a much-deserved award for Lorraine because of her positive impact she has on the Civil Law Project. Lorraine was the backbone of the Civil Law Project, and I was one of the early clients who received the benefits of Lorraine's kindness. Without her expertise, knowledge, and loyalty to the Civil Law Project, I would not have survived those days back. The support Lorraine and her team provided to me enabled me to move forward and lead a productive life in the workforce, and more important, raise a successful family. Lorraine, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you've done for me. Because of your service and dedication you provided to me, life is now good for me. I am safe, I have no complaints, and I am happy. Because of your endeavor to the Civil Law Project, you certainly deserve to receive the Sherley and Ted Craig Humanitarian Award. You have touched and empowered the lives of many people in the Pittsburgh and surrounding communities. Yes, Lorraine, we are all happy for you.